Hi, welcome to BSwiftArt. Today we're mixing colors, two colors together in different percentages to see what we get. So it's a little bit of an experiment for me and maybe it is for you. Well, let's see and have some fun. So these are Windsor Newton professional grade watercolors. I have two colors, Indigo and Raw Umber. And here it is, the Indigo and the Raw Umber in my dish. I'll put them aside. I'm going to grab a paintbrush, fill it with some water, and mix my paint to like a milk consistency. Add some water to it and keep adding water until it is a little bit transparent on the bottom of your dish. And when you pick it up on your brush, it doesn't feel really thick. It feels like milk. So on a scale from skim milk to being very watery to heavy cream being very thick, that's what we're looking at here. And this would be in between, and this is the whole milk consistency. So when I put my brush in and I mix it up, and I can see the bottom of my palette there, and it fills back in rather quickly. Now I'm going to do the same here with the Indigo, and I can tell you this is a staining color because look at my fingers. They've got blue on them because I got some off the cap on my finger, tried to wipe it off, and they turned blue. But this looks like a pretty color on its own here. So I'm going ahead and mixing this to the same consistency as my raw umber. So this is the Indigo. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this Indigo here so we can see what this color looks like. Rinse my brush off and just take a little bit of that water and see what I got there. And then I'll do the same for the raw umber. And we'll take a little bit of water and put it under there. Okay. So here's my percentages on the side. So I'm going to go 100% Indigo. So that's how I'm going to start out with. I think it needs a little more water. When I put them up here, this one seemed thinner. So I'm going to add a little water before I do that. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint using my Indigo and just using what's left on the brush. I'm going to the other side. So you can see that just using less paint as it's wore off my brush makes a lighter color. And then, you know, this is a little deeper where it had more paint on the brush. I'm also going to mark my little 100% here. And these first ones are all going to be, these percentages are going to be with the Indigo. So there's the raw umber. So now we're going to mix some of these percentages. So I'm going to do 75% of Indigo. Rinse my brush, get all that blue off of there. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to try to get 25%. Drink. Yeah, that was pretty close. Okay, 25% of the raw umber. And let's see what we got. Oh, that's pretty. Kind of this pretty bluish, almost green because the yellow's in the umber. It's a warm color. I like that. It's like a pine tree. And let's add 25% more of the raw umber to this mixture because this was 75% of Indigo, 25% raw umber, and now I want to make it 50% raw umber and 50% Indigo. So I'm just going to add a bit more of this raw umber to that. Like I said, it doesn't have to be precise. There we go. Let's see what this color brings us. And also a very pretty green. Very natural green. Live oak green, I'm going to call that. Here in Florida, we have live oak trees. You've probably seen them before, but they're huge trees. They live hundreds of years old, and I think that's why they call them live oaks, or it could be because they don't lose their leaves. They lose their leaves all year round, a little bit more in certain seasons, but there's always leaves on these trees, and they're very pretty. So that's the color that their leaves are. So that's a live oak green. So that's very pretty, like that too. So now we're going to go with the majority of raw umber to only 25% of the indigo. So I'm going to take some raw umber over here. I want to leave a little bit for my wet on wet technique. Okay, so we got raw umber and a heart, little heart shape. And then 25% of indigo. And I think I put way too much indigo in there. I'll rinse my brush off, get some more of this raw umber. But I think we're almost at that stage, aren't we? Why don't I do this? Just take some of that, put it into there, and make it a little faster. There we go. That's 75% to 25, I would think. Put a little bit in there. A little bit more. There we go. Let's leave it at that. And see what color. So you definitely can see that there's more umber in it, so it gives it a much warmer tone. So that's a nice warm green in this one here. Rinse my brush off. We're going to do the wet on wet next, but I'm going to need some raw umber because I used it all up. So I'm just going to make me another, just a small little dab, and put some water in it. Got a blob up here, got to mix it in. Okay, so you can see that milk consistency really well there. Rinse my brush, and then I'm just going to fill in my little tear shape here with the water. And then I'm just going to do the little freeform water. Whoops, smear it around. There we go, right there. So I'm going to take some of my umber, the raw umber, and dab it in there. And then I'm going to take the indigo and dab in a little bit of that. Strong, strong color. Wow. I'm going to take the tip of my brush. I cleaned it off. And I'm just going to go ahead and smush them around a little bit. Kind of let them do their own thing there. Same with this. Just kind of dabbing it in so it's not just a blob. And then I can let it move it a little bit and let it kind of mix itself. Get some of that raw umber into the center there. Push this out. Fill in my little sides. Leave that. Let this kind of do its own little swirly thing. That's really pretty. Okay. So there you can see we got the greens in here and the golds. There's some greens popping up here. And as it dries and the pigments settle, we'll get some different colors in there. Now I used my cheap watercolor paper that I bought in a bulk pack just to try the paper out, and I don't like it because my colors can't flow evenly on the paper. So that's what we're seeing with all these brush strokes here, but you can still see the effect that we're looking for. So it's really good for the color swatches. Well, I hope you enjoyed it today. This is another one, kind of has that wintry fall feeling to it. So I hope you like these colors. If you have any colors that you want me to try different combinations, leave it in the comments for me, and I will certainly try to do that for you. Well, thank you so much again, and until we meet again, let your life be full of peace and love. Bye-bye.